Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Card Show interview version. This is our interview in depth with members or people in the sports card community. In this example, we're going to be talking to JD, who's one of the co-investors, creators of Card Hedge. So really looking forward to this. JD, thank you very much for your time, for being here today.
Ziggy, man, thanks for having me. Long-time watcher of your show and supporter. So I'm glad that I got an opportunity for you and I to sit down and have some conversations.
Well, thank you very much. I'll edit that out later because that might hurt you if people hear that you're a supporter of mine. And I tease, I will say to the audience, guys, the goal of this is really to talk about Card Hedge, what the company's doing, how they've differentiated themselves, what their plans are for the future. I do want to make this a really good interview. At the same time, I will say there are other products out there. Many of you know I am not a fan of the card ladder solution, and I do use market movers personally. So that being said, I know JD and I have talked about it. I've not used Card Hedge. I've seen it used. I'm a big fan of what I've seen. And more importantly, I'm a fan of the business and the business people behind it, I think, more than the product right now. So that's why I wanted to have you on. I want to kind of start by talking about where you are, what you're going, and what the plans are. So first of all, let me just start. Can you give us a little background, JD, on who is Card Hedge? Who are the people behind it? And
Sure.
How do you guys kind of come together? A little origin story, maybe.
So there's three of us. We have the managing partner / creator of Card Hedge, which is a gentleman by the name of River. He created the product, back probably right around March of 2020. Mm-hmm. Pretty smart. Actually, I shouldn't say pretty smart. It's crazy smart, the things he can do with a computer. I don't even know what he talks about sometimes when he's talking about developing and code and all this other stuff. And but how we got kind of together was when I've always been a fan of the data and analytics of the cards, right? I was a big Beckett guy as a kid and whatnot through the years. Even I can remember being in my 20s going, if I was with my girlfriend / future wife at the time, when she dragged me to some store or whatnot, I'd be reading the Beckett magazine, even though I wasn't actively collecting at the time. It was always a draw. I always had cards that I kept from when I was a kid. So I'd always go and just skim to see where they were. Fast forward, I get back in again in 2020 when Kobe died. And I started looking around. I started making spreadsheets and I was like, there has to be a better way. Okay. And I found market movers, and then I saw the price and I said, well, that's good for them, but I'm not spending $50 a month on it.
Yep.
Then I went over to Card Ladder for a little bit, and, it started off, I liked what I saw. I was a big fan of watching Chris and Josh on their shows and whatnot. But they didn't have, and it's a knock on all of us, right? None of us have all of the cards that are out there. So they, at the time, I don't collect multi-$1,000 cards, right? I'm like $1,000 or less kind of guy. Mm-hmm. So they didn't have a lot of the cards that I was looking for. So I just kind of said, hey, thanks. I believe Chris actually reached out to me and asked me, hey, how come you're leaving? And I just said, it's nothing personal. You just, the stuff I collect, man, I get it. Maybe you're not into tracking that right now. Good conversation. So I left that. Then I was kind of in limbo, right? I didn't have anything. I was back to using eBay and this, that, and the other thing. Saw an ad on Instagram for Card Hedge. I was like, oh, what the hell is this? So I reached out to unbeknownst my future business partner, and he's like, yeah, man, why don't you try it out for free? And
where'd you see the ad? I'm sorry.
On Instagram.
Instagram. Okay.
Yep. So I reached out. He hooked me up with a free account, and he's like, it'll be good. You can help me beta test and do all these other different things, yada, yada, yada. Then the next thing you know, he's like, hey, I know I have a career, obviously, and you've got kids and you're crazy busy, but I need some help. And I'm looking for someone to pay. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, jackpot. You mean I can get paid to do this now? So I hopped in doing that. Then from there, it just transformed into, he offered me some equity in the company. And I, not being in the business world, I'm in education. So I don't deal with money. I let school committees and states determine what kind of money I get to deal with. That was really interesting to me. It wasn't necessarily about being a partner for me. I thought it was cool to have some equity in something that we were building out and that I believed in. But it was just the two of us, right? And it was the two of us for a long time.
Can I ask, let me interrupt you.
Yep.
So first of all, at this time, summer of 2020,
Yep.
right? Market Movers comes on the scene like January, right?
Yep.
And then Card Ladder introduces in June.
Yep.
You got to be talking summer. I know there was a product out there, Card Genie was around.
Yep.
You stumble across this gentleman who's got his own. Now, I mention this because when all this was going on, I mean, I was using all the data tools too. And I will say I have a background in IT. And to me, I was like, there's no magic here. You're just pulling stuff from Terapeak and you're showing it up in cool graphs and charts. That's cool.
Right.
Everybody should be doing this. So what did River do differently then that you like? And let me also ask you, JD, what did he see that you could bring that he couldn't? He sounds like he's got the technical brain. You said you're a teacher by heart. What did he go, man, the two of us, let's make this happen?
Yeah. So I think a combination of, and I don't want this to come across the wrong way.
Sure.
You know, he's a collector.
Yeah.
But he's a collector of a lot of things, right? So he's not, I don't want to say, I hate to use this word. He's not an expert of sports cards, and neither am I. And I'm not trying to come across like that. But where I think we can put JD1 River 0 is maybe in card knowledge. And that's, I'm not sitting, saying here, like, put me up against anybody and I'll squish their, that's not what I'm saying. He needed someone with some card knowledge and some kind of wherewithal to help guide him. Yeah. Yep. And that's where I came in. While when I get started doing like YouTube and stuff, some of my early videos, I think, were like me just losing my mind over the fact that, like, Kobe and Shaq and KG were selling for less than Zion and this guy and that guy. And I could not wrap my head around it. Like, I was giving myself like an aneurysm over it. Like, what is going on here? Like, this makes no sense.
So hold on. No one ever told you that don't use logic in the hobby.
None.
I mean, I'm a Star Trek fan, and a friend of mine said, everybody comes in the hobby and goes all Vulcan. Well, logically, this card should be worth more money because you have to remember, this is a completely emotional driven hobby. It really is. So I feel that pain.
Yep. So I have a saying that we adopted, not at Card Hedge, but like some of my friends and I adopted a long time ago when we first got started in our careers. And there's almost like we call it mamby-pamby land sometimes when you enter these like alternate universes, like in Back to the Future, when he goes into the alternate 1985 and Biff's in charge and everything else. Yes. Well, sometimes I feel like I'm in an alternate universe, but it is what it is. You got to navigate and hop on that DeLorean and get back to reality. So basically what happened was he's very good at the tech piece and building and taking my kind of thoughts and ideas and whatever. And even conversations I have with other people about, oh, you guys should do this or you guys should do that. And, in 2 years now, I've heard some very helpful suggestions that we've added. And I've heard some things that I'm like, what's the point of that? But
someone needs to ask that question.
Yeah. And it's good though, because it strikes up a conversation and it's like, hey, should we add this? Should we not? Do we need this? Stuff that, we go back and forth on quite a bit, but ultimately what it turned into was I knew a lot of people in the space. River didn't necessarily know, people and things like that. So I kind of was wearing like 15 different hats at one time. I was doing a lot of data entry. I was also kind of tasked with looking for some other people to come on board and help out. And we've done that now strategically with, the partner Lou that we added. Lou is very well connected with, a lot of the higher end folks, place where I will never, ever be unless I win Powerball. But he just knows a lot of people
in the hobby.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So you have
so a lot of door opening stuff. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So from there, we kind of just molded together into this little unit of collectors that are trying to do something that helps people and maybe in 10 years, we'll look back on it and Card Hedge is kind of a household brand. But, right now, as you are well aware, as I am, that's not the case, but that's okay. So
let me ask you, as somebody's an entrepreneur looking at this, when you first started, when you came there, can I ask, how many users did you have? Is it like 10s, 20s, hundreds?
So when I first started, I think I may have been user, like, I don't know, 20, 30. I don't know. We didn't have a lot. So let me talk about that for a quick sec. Because
the excitement of seeing that growth and where you are today. If you can share that with us.
So we were very, very, very small, right? And the one thing that River has said all along is this is not a marathon. I'm sorry, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? So we knew that. We spent $0 on marketing in 2021. And we were okay with that. And for a while there, it would, I was looking at it saying, like, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? And he's like, dude, just chill out. We're building out. When people come to our site, we want to have a decent amount of cards, because what ends up happening is you get early on when you're trying to promote yourself and things like that is, well, you don't have my card. You don't have this card. You don't have that card. You don't have this card. Okay, we know, like, we get it. But so we kind of just flew under the radar in 2021, trying to build and fine tune and whatever it was, whatever adjective you want to throw into it.
Can I ask what then drove the cards? If you weren't going by just, like you said, new users screaming, do this, do that. What was driving that path? Was it the current users you had making those, those few you had happy? Or was it you went to, how were you successful in that?
Sure.
Path?
So the easiest way to build a database is start with what's not going to change, right? Mm-hmm. So we started with a lot of the vintage stuff, a lot of vintage baseball.
Interesting.
We're not, I don't, how do I word this? So we're interested in collectors, right? We want people that are passionate about their cards and are in this for the long haul and care about their collection, right? We want people that view this space to some degree as an investment piece too, right? And that's very tricky because there's a fine line between what's investable and what's not, or what should be investable. We could have a conversation on that for hours. But we really, at the end of the day, want the average guy or girl to come on and say, hey, I'm curious what my 1987 Barry Bonds is worth right now. We want to have that card, right? We want to have the Tiffany version of it. We want to have all cards. What we're trying to do, Ziggy, is essentially become our modern day version of Beckett magazine. Yeah. And that's, people may watch us and say, well, yeah, good luck, dude. Yeah, sure. I get it. But that's what we're trying to do, is become that place where you come for all of your pricing information for cards and collectibles. So that's what we're trying to do in a nutshell.
So let me ask a quick question. Just on a technical level, you might not know the answer, but once a card is entered, let's say I pull in the 2018 Luka Doncic Prism rookie, you never have to re-enter that card. It just updates all the time, right? So your library is always going to get bigger. Now you just add the 20 card, the 21 card, from Luka, right? So you basically a template of Luka Prism. Is that fair? And then every year you kind of just extend the Prism out. Or the
So what we do, right? If we add, I don't even know what the hell year this is. If we add this 2019 Yadier Molina Topps Chrome base, we add it raw. And then we add it in every PSA grade, every BGS grade, every SGC grade, every CSG grade, every HGA grade. Bam, it gets loaded, everything.
So and then when you're pulling that, you said that where are those data sources? Because this is something that's different from you guys, not just pulling eBay data.
Sure. Correct? So we pull data currently from eBay, MySlabs, Golden Auctions. Where the hell else do we pull data from? We used to pull data from Star Stock when they were Star Stock. And that kind of, obviously, as you know, I don't know what they did, but I think they went straight NFT on everybody. And we are working. Yeah.
I love my NFTs, man.
No, and I don't have a problem with the NFT thing. I don't understand what they did. They're just like one day, like, Yeah, we're done.
Yeah. So
But
you told us, can I ask those data sources? Another quick question. Are those companies free in giving you the data, and are they friendly to work with you? Or did any of them try to charge you for data? Is PwC one that you're looking at? How is that data brokerage thing work?
So we are the last one we're still waiting for is PwCC right now. I've sent a few emails out to ComC to try to see if we can work something with them. They have not responded at all. So I'm kind of hoping from my interview last night with Connor and Buy Sports Cards, I'm kind of hoping that takes off and fulfills the lower end of like that ComC type avenue to give another, set of data for us. But as far as the companies go, everybody has been more than willing to share data, right? Great conversations with the guys at My Slabs. eBay's eBay. When you talk to somebody, you talk to somebody. Star Stock was great. PwCC has been very helpful. There's just some holdups there on the data end. It's not even relevant. It's just technical crap that you and I wouldn't understand.
Yep.
But the hard part, I will tell you this, right? The part we've had trouble with getting data from are the auction houses. They do not want to give up their data. Heritage.
You mentioned Golden, so Golden is giving you data.
Golden's public. So,
okay. So you're pulling, you're scraping data from them.
Yep. Heritage, they said nope. Robert Edwards, nope. All these, nope. So
I will tell you that makes me wonder in my head why, and I'm hearing that they do share their data with other data tools that I will not mention. So I'm wondering, is there an exclusive? Do they sell the data?
So that piece, I don't know. I can tell you when we called, it was a conversation of, well, how are you different from Card Ladder? And I said, well, we're really not, other than my name's John and their name's Chris or Josh, right? So they weren't, at first, they were not willing to share any of their data. That doesn't mean you don't call back and try again kind of thing. But to me, I also kind of feel like, we have Golden, which is great. And again, I think the user we're going after, or the person we're trying to look for in our site, eBay and some of these other larger places is really going to cover what we're trying to address anyway in the long term. So
you said something real quickly, JD, I want to go back to. You said you're like Card Ladder. I want to talk about how you're not like Card Ladder, though.
Sure.
And also how I see you're not like Market Movers. My understanding, Market Movers is very eBay focused in their data. I don't know if they've expanded other sources or not. I probably should know that, but I don't. I know you guys, like you said, you're pulling in these different data sources. Curation of data, I think, is a question asked. Do you touch, aggregate, curate any of the data you take in and exclude it from your tool?
So as far as excluding, the only time we'll exclude something, right? We don't track any of the PSA qualifier stuff. So the 9OC and the MKs and the STs and we don't include that crap. So we exclude all that. Then it comes into like,
is that a sorting issue more than it is a tech? Like, is that probably why?
Well, because what happens is, right, if you list a 9, I don't know, right, just a 9 Ronald Acuna Topps card, right, and I list a 9 OC, your 9 it's going to come through as a PSA 9. The problem is your PSA 9 sells for more than my PSA 9.
That's what I'm saying. So, it would all fall. It's a bucket. And you have to create another little sub bucket.
Yeah,
it's a nightmare. I can follow that.
So
that's a good example of where you don't. And even there, you're just excluding data. Okay.
Yes. Then some of the other things we don't like. The only thing I guess you could say we curate is eBay has this little loophole, right? Where if I list a card, buy it now for $500, and then you watch my card, right? I can send you offers now. So if I send you an offer for $300 and you accept it, eBay's API still puts out $500.
Yeah.
It's invalid. So we want to make sure that we're checking those things, and we do check that when there's time to check them, or if somebody sends us this is wrong, I sold it, we'll go in and switch it to the right price. But other than that, it's free flowing, man. You see, I'm sure you've seen the graphs. Sometimes they're all over the place. We've kicked around the idea of letting users delete or hide those things. We just need to do it in a way where it's not deleting. What we don't want to have happen is someone get on there and start deleting every friggin' price that we have, right? You know what I mean? So we have to just go through and figure out a way that we can do that. Like, I know market movers, you can filter out PWCC was on eBay, and you could filter those guys out.
You can also filter out on score too, the score of the buyer or seller. Is that something you guys can do? Or no?
We don't do any of that yet, but that's not a bad idea either. To me, I look at it as this. The one thing that, and I think you asked this before and I got off on a tangent, but what drew me to Card Hedge, it allows me to make my decisions. There's not, like, we're not pitching, any kind of do this or do that kind of thing. We let the user decide, right? And yes, there'll be graphs that there's points all over the place, right? But anybody with a brain can get, a pretty good idea of what's going on with the charts, right? So we do not curate things as far as if it goes through, like in a Topps Chrome, filters through on a regular Topps card, we want to make sure we get that out of there. But we have exclusions and things like that we put on cards to try to block that. The problem is, Zig, is that sometimes the best filters don't handle all the junk on eBay. You know how people do it with all the emojis and the graphs and the fires and the goats and things like that. Sometimes it screws things up, or it doesn't mean that,
I'll keep that in mind when I'm posting my next eBay listing.
Yeah. So and sometimes people will message us and say, hey, I sold this card, it's not showing up. Well, it doesn't mean that we haven't captured it. What it means is there's something wrong with your listing that doesn't match our end. And if it doesn't match 100%, it doesn't display, and so the wording wise, so it just, we put it in a queue, and then we'll have to physically go in and just check it, make sure it's right, and let it go.
So let me kind of wrap this up for a second here. And I'll say,
sure.
I'm running up on a recording time. We're going to pause here in a minute, stop this video. We're going to start a second video in a minute. But let me kind of summarize this. So what's cool about Card Hedge, you're pulling a lot of different data sources. You guys are looking to expand that with different companies, right? You let the data come in. You do some protective, smart analysis of the data, but you're not doing any curation. You're not validating the sale is accurate. You're not calling anybody.
No.
You're also not excluding, buy it now or something like that. You're pulling in what you can. And then you provide that up for the user to use. Like you said, let the user make decisions. One thing that I want to say, kind of lead people into the second part of the video, what I love about what I've seen about your product on Retro Hoops is if I'm ever wondering if I have a card and who should I grade it with, because what's the best value in return, I can drop that into your solution and you can show me how much it is in PSA 10, how much it is in BGS, and so forth. And then I can take in the time consideration. How much time will it take to do that to make the best business decision? Everybody doing that. That's awesome.
Thank you for that. We added in a little feature on the pricing too that shows next to like a PSA 10. There's a blue bubble, for lack of a better term, that shows you the raw price plus the cost to grade at PSA. So we just went back in and updated that. What we need to do, honestly, now, and the grading companies really aren't helping us, we need to adjust PSA. We basically, what River has to do is write a code that adjusts that grading price to match the card value. So, this would fall under the economy of $4.99. This is going to be this. SGC straightforward $30, and CSG we use their economy price, which I believe is $20 off the top of my head. And then in BGS now I believe is 25, so we adjusted that as well. So the tricky one right now is PSA because there's just a few different levels. But so we do all that, and I think, like you said, we're trying to make it easier for people to make decisions quicker, right? Where you're not wasting a whole heck of a lot of time. And, because as well as I do, there's so much, it's like Sports cards is essentially like just a living, breathing 90210 episode, right? It's just like, oh, did you see what Brendan did today? And I can't believe it. Nobody saw Dylan yet. And it's like, it's nonstop. And
I don't know what you're talking about. I think it's awesome. Real quick, I'm going to pause you guys. So we're going to stop this video. In the second video, we're going to talk about Card Hedge at the National. We're going to talk about Card Hedge name. I want to ask a little bit about that as well. We're going to talk about them at the National, what their plans are for the National. We're going to talk about their partnerships, strategic partnerships. We're going to talk about the company's plan for growth. Where do we see you in 12 months, 24 months, and 60 months? So guys, hang in there. Really appreciate you being here for the first part of the video. We're going to stop this now, come back for part 2 later on. Thank you.